Hi, godly seers. Happy Sunday. Hope you're having a good day and praise the Lord to all my Christian brothers and sisters. So today's video is inspired by a clip that I saw about someone giving advice on the things that should be an indicator of someone to deciding whether they should leave their marriage, whether they should end the relationship, things like that. And another clip again, or another post on Instagram that I saw about a 38-year-old lady who's never dated before. She's never had a relationship. She's never fallen in love. She's about to go out on a speed dating experience, and she's asking for, questions that she should ask. She has no idea where to start. She doesn't know what to do with herself, and she's asking people. And there's also people in the comment section telling her what to do, try this, try that. People have come up with these 12 questions or a million questions of what to ask somebody. Or like, what do you like this, that, and the other. So I've just got, all of those two things combined just to give my 2p, speaking out of my own experience. So first of all, addressing the first bit about the decisions whether people should jump out of relationship, what is working, what is not working, and what is the cutoff point. Like, what is the what do you call it? What is that one thing that that is a bit too far, that at this point, that's it. For everybody, it's different. My pain threshold may be quite lower than yours. There are things that I may be able to take. There are things that you may not be able to take. But all in all, this is what I'm saying. Before we even get to the point of, people deciding, when to get out of relationship, how about we talk about how to enter a relationship, or things that we should be doing before we even enter these relationships. As we can see, it's like things have been progressively becoming worse or getting worse than, back in the day. We see a lot of people quick to leave their relationships and jumping into something else, because there's always these expectations that the grass is greener elsewhere. So people are leaving their relationships to start something new, only to face the same old devil, or even worse. We've got people that are wishing, they've been with people that they wish, they cast the day their paths ever crossed. Like, have you ever been with someone that you're like, oh my goodness, if I could go back to that very moment when I met this person, I wish I turned left, if turning right meant that I was gonna bump into them. Things have been getting that worse for people. I remember when I was younger, some of us delayed childbearing or getting pregnant because we're like, oh, I want to be, married before I can, have a child. The dating scene was really, really bad. And anybody that got pregnant at a young age, or without being married, it was a taboo. It was such a big thing. It's no longer such a a major thing. Like right now, like people have normalized it. There's a lot of single mothers that have learned how to do that life, because they were forced to do that life. Back then in the day, some of us stayed on the sideline watching some of our friends that got pregnant. We're like, oh my God, how are you gonna do it? I'm not for that. I can't manage. I'll not do it. I'll wait for things to get better. I'm gonna get my dream man and then do it properly. Fast forward, things got worse. Like, the dating scene, if we thought it was bad back then, it hasn't gotten any better. It got progressively worse. So the only thing that changed is that those that found themselves in that, in those circumstances, their children are grown now. They've grown up with their own children. Yes, they were put in difficult situations, but those that waited on the sidelines as well, some, ended up in situations where, the only difference is that you grew older, and the situation you are waiting to get better, it never got better. It instead got worse. So if I could go back, I'm just gonna give a little bit of advice of the things that I could do different, or where I can see where the issue was. We relied on our own, abilities, first of all, to be able to find somebody, where actually the reality of it is that unless God helps you, it takes a very, very, very long time to get someone good, to get someone that is, livable, like someone that is, manageable, a situation that you can say, okay, you know what, I'm happy with this. This is what I've been praying for. This is what I've been, wanting. There's a lot of things that must come into play. And we thought, oh, it's just easy. You just keep trying and just keep trying and just keep going out on this speed dating, or you just keep, meeting new people. until you meet the right one. But again, going back to these two scenarios that I've shared in the beginning, the lady who's 38, who's never dated before, about to go out on a speed dating experience, and the other clip about when people should jump out of the relationships. Going back to the drawing board, what are some of the things that we're doing before we even get into these relationships? I believe that that is very, very, very crucial. I had an uncle of mine years ago that used to tell me, Godly, do you realize that a lot of people walking around, and this is not just in terms of relationships, a lot of people are walking around not knowing what they want out of life. They don't know what they want, and they don't know what they don't want, which makes things very, very, very difficult. Imagine, like, let's say, for example, someone is about to go out on a speed dating challenge or whatever experience. First of all, you as a person, you have a challenge that you haven't figured out what you're looking for in a man. You don't know. Do you know if you even want to get married? Are you just looking for a relationship? Are you just looking for sex? Are you looking for marriage? What exactly are you looking for? A lot of people find themselves in situations before they realize that, oh, actually, this is not what I was looking for. Because you went in there in the first place not knowing what to look for. You could be going on this speed dating experience and you've got somebody right before you full of red flags right, left, and center. You can be looking at the same thing and still walk away with nothing, and still not even be able to tell that these are red flags, because you haven't figured out what red flags look like for you. You haven't visualized what you're looking for should look like in reality. So we have a bunch of confused people meeting a bunch of confused people who haven't figured out what they're looking for, what they're not looking for. And they say, yeah, let's just, go with the flow. And, you go with the flow, you end up on the flow. You see, you're chatting to somebody, they don't know what they're looking for. You don't know what you're looking for. You're just winging it. You end up in situations where some of these people end up dating. Before you know it, you're with someone that your personalities, there's no way of making it work. But also we are faced with issues of desperation. I've been in situations like that where I was desperate and I didn't even know that I was desperate. I pursued something that was full of red flags right, left, and center. And I would still talk myself into it, tell myself, oh no, it's not that bad. God would warn me and I'd be like, oh no, I'll choose the positive out of all the negative dreams that I had. I'm like, oh no, I still think it's for me. And God is like, no, go for it at your own risk. Yes, you can see a little side of good, but let me show you all the bad. And I'm still not willing to listen. So, being bold and requesting for what you want and being open with someone and ask the right questions, like what are they looking for? Also, you making a comparison that is this person what they're telling me, or what the ways that I'm going about figuring out what they are looking for, does it match with what I'm looking for? Are we even sharing the same values? And I'm not oblivious to the fact that sometimes people change. Even someone that was looking for the same things as you, down the line, people change. People's needs change. People may want different, things, but if you don't evolve together, you leave that person behind, or you get to a point where you're no longer compatible. But at one point, you were compatible. I'm not talking about situations like that, but I'm talking about getting it right from the first place, or getting what you want out of it from the get-go. Don't just end up with someone that does not represent anything that you want, or if they're just telling you what you want to hear. There are other ways of finding out. But for me, especially in this day and age, I think what I would say is relying, I can't stress this enough, relying on the Almighty God, because He's the only one that can see the unseen. You've got a lot of people that are going through transitions, like of different things, their sexuality, just experimenting, just trying to figure out if they even like women or men. You've got people that are living in some phases of life where they're escaping things to do with maybe disobedience from God. There are people that are waiting for certain things to happen, all kinds of entanglement. You end up becoming a victim. You see, you've settled somewhere with someone that is in their desert place, that is just in their going through season. You've decided to, make them your permanent person. The person is nowhere where they need to be. You end up becoming a victim. They leave you. They break your heart terribly. They're still going on to where they're supposed to be. They'll meet their, rightful person. But what about you? because you didn't use discernment, you didn't ask God to help you, or when he helped you, you didn't listen, you end up in a hot mess. You see, like the other story that I had about a doctor that was completing a lot of CPRs on patients that were falling into the river, trying to, save their lives by, giving them the kiss of life, trying to suck water out of their system. But there were so many because they kept falling in. Eventually had to stop because he was so overwhelmed, thinking, hang on a minute, I'm focusing on resolving the problem right now after it has already happened. But how about I stop and go up to that mountain where they keep falling from and figure out what is pushing them into into the river in the first place? Because unless you know what the root cause is, you end up going from one bad situation to the next, because you hadn't figured out what we are looking for, what we want. When I know what I want, it's easier to figure out what the other person is bringing into my life, because I'm comparing it to, what it is that I want for myself and looking at what they want for their, for themselves. How would we handle things? You ask questions like, like, for example, even issues to do with money, like, how you deal with money once you're married to somebody. See how they're responding to all of those things that end up being very, very, very crucial after you're married to somebody. Don't just use assumptions like, oh, I assume he wants the same things as me. Don't be shy to ask the right questions according to you. Ask the questions of the things that you want to know, because if you don't ask, you can end up hooking up with somebody that is clearly not for you. How many people have we had that have ended up with someone that is actually married? The person asked them out, he's been taking them out on dates. I had this one girl say this one day, like, when she confronted the guy, after finding out that the guy was married, the guy was like, oh, actually, it's not that I was lying or trying to hide it from you. Never asked. I mean, it's really tacky. Like, you should be able to tell somebody. But again, there are people that are not willing to tell you, that will not tell you. They will hide it unless you ask the question that, look, listen, you that is asking me out, are you married or are you single? There are those that are married that will still lie. But at least ask these questions. The guy was like, oh, if you asked, I would have told you. Which is a big lie. They probably still will try and die, but you see their body language as they're responding. You see their mannerism. Don't just ignore these things right from the get-go. It does not matter, and it should not matter if your heart is broken right at the beginning, or you're thinking, okay, I was starting to really like this person, but it looks like, oh, another one that hasn't worked out. Let me tell you, living from example, telling you this from lived experience, you're better off stopping it at that point than entering something that is down the line after all your emotions are invested, is going to break your heart even more. You're better off, because you don't have time to waste time. You see, if you're still dating in your 20s, early adulthood, a lot of those things don't matter. You're just, there for the experience. You're just, it doesn't matter who is for you or who isn't. You're just building experience. You're just... marriage is not one of your agendas. It's not a do or die. And if you're not planning on getting married, this advice is probably not for you. Or it could still be for you, because at the end of the day, everybody needs to try to get to know someone that is healthy, that is for them, to reduce the number of, hurt. We're going around collecting these experiences that are so harmful, that are adding to the wounds that people have already accumulated. And people are so quick, like what I was saying before, to jump out of situations at the sign of the first point of, something that could bring them pain. They're like, oh, I'm out of this, I'm going to the next one. But there is no guarantee to the next one that you're jumping into either. So it's good that we take time to analyze situations and see, like, okay, do you know what? What is this telling me? Doing things right from the get-go, like trying to take our time to see, does this, is this going where I'm going? And I think when you already know what you're looking for, it doesn't have to take long. You don't have to take years studying somebody, trying to get to know someone, because you already know what you're looking for. It will be easy to tell whether, this is someone that you can work with. And nobody's perfect. No one is going to come with all 10 points of all the things you're looking for. In some areas, you may need to compromise because they are going to have to compromise with some things to do with us as well. It's not everything about us that they will like. So anyways, hope that was helpful. I'll speak to you next Sunday. Bye.